Hi, welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. I'm Tammy White. I'm the founder of the Bobby White Foundation and your host for the show. First off, we want to, of course, thank Area 52 Media Group for giving us this platform and the opportunity every week to bring you information. We've got some really good information for you today. And also, one of our sponsors, Dylan Gaston from the mortgage firm. We love her support. Also, and my tech guy, Cage, does such a great job for us because we can't do it without him. So, a lot of things going on. This past weekend, we were set up at a table at Faith Fest, which was held at Faith Baptist Church on Ridge Road here in Newport Richey, and had a really good turnout. Talked to some really nice people. Handed out information. It was hot, hotter than we thought it was going to be. I got a little bit sunburned. I was standing out in the sun for 4 hours without a tent. But anyways, it's always good to get out into the community and introduce the foundation and what we're doing and also people letting us know that they appreciate what we're doing out in the community. So then so when this airs, the Out of the Darkness Walk will have happened. So we'll get pictures up on the pages from the Out of the Darkness Walk, which I will be emceeing Saturday morning, and that's going to be fun. We always have a really great turnout in the community. It's at Sims Park, so. Or will have been at Sims Park. So we'll bring a follow up on that coming up. But don't forget, there's other things happening, and some of them coming up here really soon. But best place to go get the information and register for these is at the AFSP/Tampa Bay chapter. The first one is More Than Sad for Parents. That's November 8th. That is via Zoom from 6:30 to 8. Then November 18th, which is a Saturday, and this is nationally. It's Lost Survivors Day. And this is the information for Tampa Bay. You can just click on that QR code. Yeah, it's going to be held at a church in Lutz. We've got some speakers. We just got the video. It was just emailed to me. I haven't even had a chance to look at it. With some information, we're going to have an art project. I was in charge of that. So we're figuring out, we've got couple of, cute little ideas that we're throwing around that everybody can do an art project. At the end of the event, we did this one year, and I had forgotten that we did it. And we're going to blow bubbles. I have a poem, and I'll get this poem up there. It's called The Life of a Bubble. And I'll be reading the poem at that event, and while everybody blows their into the air. It is really neat. I remember when we did it before COVID, and I totally forgot about the bubble poem, but I do remember the bubbles. So I think, and then also don't forget that the third Wednesday of each month, NAMI Pinellas has a Surviving Suicide Loss Support Group. You do have to go online and register for that. And it's from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Dunedin Community Center. So that's that. And now I'm going to introduce a guest. I met a few years ago when I started going to these acute care meetings here in Pasco. And then it's a bunch of organizations that get together, but the woman who facilitates it Karen Barfield. She's the community manager for Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas Counties with Central Florida Behavioral Health Network. And so she's our guest today. Um, we're going to bring her on, Cage. There she is. Hey, Karen. Can you hear
Good
me?
afternoon, everybody.
Okay, so you tell us. Well, tell us about Central Florida Behavioral Health Network, and then we'll get into the acute care, and then the other thing that we were talking about, the spinoff for the suicide coalition thingy. I know I'm not saying all the right words, but anyways, so tell us about you and Central Florida.
So first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here and to share information with everybody. A little bit about Central Florida Behavioral Health Network. We're one of 7 managing entities in the state of Florida, and CFBHN is Florida's largest and most experienced managing entity. We were specifically created by the Florida legislature to develop and manage the publicly funded substance abuse and mental health safety net system of care. I know that's a mouthful. We cover 14 counties on the Sun Coast, from Pasco County down to Collier County and into the spine of the state. We oversee approximately 286 million in annual allocations and serve approximately 120,000 individuals in treatment and millions more in prevention. So I want to talk a little bit more, if I can, about our funded services, and therefore those that are uninsured or underinsured, including expectant mothers, veterans, individuals living with serious mental illnesses, and individuals experiencing homelessness. And our services vary from prevention to treatment and recovery. We provide care coordination and fund wraparound services. That's been shown to reduce readmissions to crisis stabilization units, detox by approximately 2%. So that's just a little bit about Central Florida Behavioral Health Network.
Well, when I first met and was introduced to Central Florida Behavioral Health Network was probably like around 4 years ago. Jody Nicosia, and her and I worked together to develop the Purple Folder program, which the first year was partnered with our foundation in Central Florida. And then the second year, our foundation took it over. And it was right about that time, I believe, is when I started attending the acute care meetings. That was before COVID. We would meet at the, was it Land Lake Civic Center or somewhere over there on 41. So did the acute care came out of Central Florida Behavioral Health? How did that work?
Acute care meetings have been happening in our communities. I can trace the roots back as far as 2011. I was not with Central Florida Behavioral Health Network at that time. Previous to Central Florida Behavioral Health Network facilitating the Pasco acute care meeting, my understanding was that these were some of the meetings that were led by DCF, the Department of Children and Families in our communities. I will share with you that across the Suncoast region, there are different facilitators of those meetings. Sometimes there are our providers take the lead. There are county, at least I know that in the past, the County Human Services organization has taken the lead. But in Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough County, I do facilitate those 3 meetings. And Tammy, I was thinking before I joined you here, I was thinking how long ago it's been since we met. And you're right, it was around 2018 when you began to attend the acute care meetings and really enjoyed the addition, so we could talk more and highlight more the suicide prevention initiatives, as well as the postvention resources available for individuals in the community.
Right. That's the year that, actually, that is the year that we started the foundation. And was working on the purple folders and getting more information out, and it was really helpful to me, and I think maybe even to you guys because um we're tackling the problem from the lived experience part of suicide, not the what do you call it? I had the word in my head. Um, Not the other side of it, like what you guys do. You know what I mean?
I do, and I think we have to look at it as, this is about, we're talking about people, and we're talking about all aspects of a system of care. We can't just highlight one and pull out one specific component. We have to look at the entire crisis continuum of care. And if I can explain a little bit about what the acute care meeting
Sure.
is, because there may be some people out there saying, what is this acute care meeting? And essentially it is consists of a meeting of providers of those acute care services. So we're talking about our crisis stabilization units. We're talking about our detoxes. Also, we have partners from our behavioral health agencies. These are our agencies that provide those support services. We have law enforcement, EMS. We also have our 211 and 988 providers there. And it really serves as a forum so we can talk about the system of care and increase our communication, work more together. And we also work on something called we have oversight over something called the behavioral health receiving system and transportation plans. And that describes how someone enters into crisis services, how they access that care.
Right. That's the thing that I really liked about the acute care meetings because we bring in it well, even like you mentioned, and it's part of another program, but it's like a wraparound of services so that everybody knows what's out there and is working together and helping each other because not a one of us is going to be able to reduce or help this problem that we have with mental health and suicide and addiction and overdoses that are so prevalent in our community, and that's what we with our foundation have from the very beginning wanted to always be a part of and include others with what we do because it's so big it's going to take all of us, and having that information, the information that we receive every month from the sheriff's department is so valuable to our foundation. And like a couple months ago, you and I had a chat right afterwards because it was just the news was just heartbreaking. It was just at that time, but it's valuable information for all of our organizations to have.
I agree, Tammy. I mean, the information that's shared in these meetings is it's very important and does help to move our initiatives forward to be able to reach more people and provide more services, let people know where they need to go to find the help that they are looking for, and also to help to reduce stigma so people feel more comfortable with reaching out. And I know that's something that we've been working on as a community. I will share that the providers in Pasco County are probably the warmest group of people that I've ever worked with. I really do enjoy the members of the acute care committee. We typically have about 35 representation from 35 entities, agencies, providers across Pasco County that do attend that meeting.
Yes, it has always been a very well attended meeting, which is really good because it just shows the support that so many in our community want want for our community.
Exactly, exactly. And I know we were going to talk a little bit about our Pasco County Suicide Prevention Work Group that came out of the acute care
Right.
meeting. This is an example of some of the work that we do in the acute care committee. So, after some time of talking about suicide, talking about prevention, educating the group, we felt that it would be best to establish a work group. So initially, we were the Pasco County Suicide Prevention Work Group, and we began to work together in early 2021. Initially, we started off surveying our providers. We wanted to find out a little bit about the type of tools that they were using to assess individuals that were coming into their facilities. We also wanted to find out a little bit about what type of events and trainings were available for our community. We then partnered and came under the Alliance for Healthy Communities umbrella. The Alliance for Healthy Communities has had two established coalitions. They had ASAP, which is Substance Misuse Coalition, and then they also have STAND, which is a teen coalition. So we came under and were established as a coalition and under the name of SAFE, SAFE, so Suicide Awareness Finds Empowerment. And over the 2 years that we've been established, we have really increased our membership of this coalition. We now have representation not only from the Pasco County Sheriff's Office, but the Victims Advocate Unit. Specifically, we have the school district at the table. The Department of Veterans Affairs recently joined us, as well as Baycare. We have our chat team, and we also have representation from our mobile response team, which is overseen by Baycare.
And us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's
it,
a lot of stuff. Good stuff, though.
oh, it is. And those meetings are just as well attended, and a good number of different organizations that is being a part of that also. And that's really helpful, especially with, I mean, as much as you guys have to work with and deal with in the oversight, with the mental health, suicide, substance abuse use, and like I said, it's just sometimes it can just get overwhelming. But these meetings that we've been having, and I kicked myself because I got busy the other morning, and I missed the last one that we had. And so I always look forward to getting my emails from you with what happened when I missed a meeting. So at least we still know. So, but
Well, stay tuned, because you'll be getting a lot of stuff coming from me very shortly. I'm still pulling some of those resources together. I noticed at the top of the show, the top of the hour, Tammy, that you talked about some of the current events. And that's one of the things that we've tried to do as the SAFE group, is we've tried to partner with some of those existing events. So we were present at the Nope Candlelight Vigil in 2022, Pedals for Prevention, the Opioid Town Hall, Tipping the Pain Scale screening. So we've been trying to get out at some of these local events to be able to provide resources and information on suicide prevention.
right. What we should probably do is some of these events that I go to that you guys can't go to, is I need some of your guys' more of your information so that we can have it at our table so that we can share it when you're, because like me,
Yeah,
sometimes
I
we
would love
have
to
like
do that.
2 events at one time, and I can't clone myself, but because we do that with FSP too. We have our information and we always have their information, and that's why we share so much of their stuff too. So with what we're doing with the SAFE coalition, we'll gather some more of that information so that when we do these events like I did Saturday, it might not be something that would be on your guys' radar or something, or you don't have enough staffing or somebody to be there. But if I have the information, then we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, and it's coincidentally, that's one of the things that we talked about at the last meeting, Tammy, was pulling together our resources. And I do have to give credit to the community partners for assisting me with that. Not only did I have some information on Central Florida Behavioral Health Network's website at these events, but we also, the Baycare chat team put together just a wonderful array of resources for individuals to pick up and read. Some of them more lengthy, some of them a little bit shorter. Also had 988 cards available. Tampa Bay Thrives donated their Let's Talk Tampa Bay line cards, as well as some really cool tattoos and stickers that were really popular, especially with the younger set. North Tampa Behavioral Health provided us a lot of information on Jason's foundation, and Baycare also provided us the mobile response team brochures, which is really a useful resource when someone is feeling in crisis. They need someone to talk to and help link them to services and help get them past that point. The mobile response team is a wonderful resource out there, and they work in conjunction with our 988 providers.
Right, that's awesome. It's just so if for me, with what we have happening is such a relief, because I mean, this is something that I have looked forward to, for so long since we lost Bobby. Is 7 years ago, we didn't have any of this, and there's still a lot of work to do, a lot more to go, but it's so much more than what we had, and it just keeps growing, and the information and the help is getting easier for people to access. We still have, I think, a little ways to go with that, but it is getting easier to access because of us all working together. And so the more information that we have, it's easier for us to get have access, get that access and information, to those in our community. One of the things that you and I were talking about a few weeks ago, and ironically, and I didn't even realize it, but we've had this program within our foundation. Haven't been very active about it until recently, but those of you watching the last couple episodes, we started talking about the program Be the One Too, or it's hashtag Be the One Too, and we have that information in our how to talk brochures. And so Karen had brought it up with that. I don't know was it going to be the acute care or the SAFE program or both that that you're going to use to incorporate in what you guys are doing also?
Yes, Central Florida Behavioral Health Network. They have a full media campaign across the 14 counties. That's on radio, streaming, TV, social media platforms, with the tools and information from the hashtag Be the One Too campaign. And that's how I became familiar with it, was when I first joined Central Florida Behavioral Health Network and looked at the amazing media campaigns that we have across those 14 counties. And want to highlight a couple of upcoming opportunities to learn a little bit more about hashtag Be the One Too campaign. Currently, we actually have this campaign on buses in Pinellas County. I did ask about whether we were going to have this type of messaging on any buses in Pasco County. Don't have any answers yet, but if you're driving in Pinellas County, which many of us in Pasco do,
Yeah.
be on the lookout on the side of buses for this information. Also, we have a relationship with iHeartRadio, and they are sponsoring a Jingle Ball at Amalie Arena. This is something they do every year. It's a very large event in Hillsborough County. It's on November 26th. And CFBHM will be present with resources and some giveaways as well as CFBHN is going to be at the Children's Gasparilla Parade. And I believe that's January 20th. And they're going to be highlighting some of the hashtag Be the One to campaign. And I can't think of a better way to do that in a fun atmosphere and to try to reach out to some of our youth.
Oh, yeah. No, that's an excellent idea. So we're going to go through the 5 steps. We started to a couple weeks ago, and I think we did the first 2. So we're gonna review the first 2 and go through all 5 of them for our viewers. And you can, and if you want to go ahead and you want to get more information and do this on your own, you please do. It's be the one to. I think it's be1to.com, or it just hashtag be the one to, and it's the number 1, not spelled out. So the first one is be the one to ask. I think there we go. So if you think someone might be considering suicide, take the first step and be the one to ask. Ask directly. You can't, and we've said this before many, many times, you can't beat around the bush to it. You can't say it really lightly. You have to be direct. Come right out and ask them if they are thinking of suicide. You can't just, you can't beat around the bush about it. Right, Karen?
I agree. And, an important thing to highlight, which is highlighted on the hashtag Be the One To website, is don't ever make the promise to keep their thoughts of suicide a secret.
Yeah. No, you can't. You can't. And the second one is be the one to be there. Let's see what we have here. So if someone who is thinking about suicide, take the next steps and just be the one to be there. Listen to their reasons for feeling hopeless and in pain. Listen without judgment and with compassion and empathy. That is really important. Be the one that they can trust.
I agree, Tammy. And this is our opportunity to be there for that person, to perhaps alleviate or eliminate some of the factors that are contributing to how they're feeling right now. Be that support there for that person.
Right. And don't ever diminish what they're saying, or what they're feeling, because that's when they really, really, really need the support and the empathy. And the third one is be the one to keep them safe. We talked about, was talking about this to somebody at Faith Fest the other day. And if you ask someone if they are thinking about suicide and they say yes, be the one to keep them safe. Separate them from anything they are thinking of using to hurt themselves. And pretty much across the board, especially when it comes to the males, guns are the number 1 means. But guns can also be one of the easiest ways, I think, to control. I don't know if it's on this website or another campaign that I'm looking at, but I saw a video, a gentleman sharing, and he had a gun safe in his house, and the person just asked him, have your wife, think about this, have your wife change the combination to the gun safe, and don't let her tell you. And he even thought that was a good idea until he was past the crisis. Or just get the guns out of the house, take them to a safe location. I don't know if, and I know in some communities, but I was talking to somebody else about this, if our community does it, and I can't remember what the name of the program is. Something is red box, but I don't think that's it, where you can surrender your guns to law enforcement and they'll hold them for you for a period of time. Do we have that in our community?
I have heard about that. I'm not sure. I don't have any updated information about that, but I would really be happy to look into that
Yeah, I
and see
think,
if we don't have a local program like that.
yeah, I think too, think I'm gonna reach out to a couple contacts with uh, the local police departments. The sheriff's department handles the majority of our territory in our county, but the local police department, they don't handle everything in the county. The local police departments handle their areas separately and reports separately from the sheriff's department. Um, and I need to get some updated folders to the the local police departments. I'll before our next meeting, I'll check with them to see if the local police departments have anything like that too, so that we could get that information. If you could check with the sheriff's department, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd be happy to work with you on that, Tammy, and I think that would be good information to have for the community. I
Yeah.
will add that the Department of Veterans Affairs does distribute gun locks.
Hmm.
That's part of their programming to address suicide initiatives. And I know that Department of Veterans Affairs talked about getting some gun locks perhaps for some of the upcoming events. I'm hoping that I might be able to have some and have them there with me at the Out of the Darkness walk. I forgot to add that in. Tammy, I'll be there with you,
Oh, awesome.
ready to walk. I'm going to walk with one of our network service providers, Baycare, and Janet, the mobile response team. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, great. That'll be awesome. Be good to see you there. I have to. My sister-in-law has is coming up to the park to man our table while we do the event. I'm hoping some more of our family will come. They haven't been. She comes every year, but one year most of them came. But I'm hoping that they'll come this year. But anyways, okay. So keep them safe. That is just so important, and you know don't leave them if it's if it's that dire. That's part of keeping them safe. And so the fourth one is be the one to help them connect. If someone you know is thinking about suicide, be the one to help them connect to resources. Help them build a support system, including they have at 988 Lifeline, family, friends, clergy, coaches, coworkers, therapists. Um, but one thing that I really want to reiterate, I can say that, get it out of my mouth, is make sure that, especially with family and friends, that these are people that you really trust. Um, because this is really sensitive for somebody going through this crisis. And if it's not somebody that you can trust, it could be so detrimental. And that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get them the best help possible. And even as far as therapists go, if you find one and you're not clicking, don't stop. That may not be the right therapist for you, but there is the right one out there. You just have to keep going. I went through that personally. Well, I went to a therapist when my first husband was killed. It was a disaster. And when Bobby died, it was several years before I would go and see anybody because I had in the back of my head that experience that I had with the bad therapist. But I was very, very fortunate to find a therapist that dealt with suicide specific grief and trauma. And that was extremely helpful. So don't give up. There's a lot of people and a lot of help out there. I have been talking recently with the pastors of Faith Baptist Church. Um, so a lot of the churches and even the Catholic churches, we have a really great relationship with here. Um, they're changing their tune and their attitude about suicide and the stigma. And they're starting to really get involved and see the right side of it and to be there to help and not further stigmatize.
Tammy, just to emphasize something you said about finding the right therapist, I think it's important to remember that this is a relationship. So you definitely want to, you want to have a provider that you feel safe and comfortable with.
Correct.
And regarding the faith faith-based community, we are seeing more interest in them providing resources to their congregations. And that workaround is helping to decrease stigma in our communities.
Oh, hugely, hugely. Yeah. Yeah. We've done a couple programs with the Catholic Church here, but St. James is going to be having our purple folders available. And the big one down on 19, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right at the moment. But anyways, a couple of the Catholic churches are going to have our purple folders available to people that come to them for help. So we're really excited about that. And I think it's not won't be too long before hopefully Faith Baptist Church will have them also. So, and that's one thing that we had started to do prior to COVID is that's what our next step was to get the faith-based community involved, and then COVID hit and we couldn't do anything. So now we're getting back on track and we're seeing some traction with that, which is really, really great. So the fifth one is be the one to follow up. If someone you know tells you they've been thinking about suicide, don't forget to take the last step and be the one to follow up with them. It can make all the difference. You don't want them to think that they're out there alone. You've come this far and you helped them along. You can't leave them to their own devices. Follow up, letting people know, letting them know that you really do care, and you're gonna, if you have to, walk this road with them. And believe me, you will be grateful for helping somebody else out. I've always said if I'd rather, at the very beginning of this, for the asking part, can be really difficult, and maybe somebody's not thinking of taking their life, but or they are or they're not, and then they get really, I'm just gonna say, they get really pissed off at you. I've had that happen to somebody that I know, but I would rather have them mad at me and alive than have to go to their funeral. I have a friend who, they have saved this young man's life several times, and the last time he really wanted to be done. He was so mad at my friend for saving his life. But they have a team of friends, like 6 guys that check up on him, follow up. And so he's not alone. So, and I'm just haven't heard any news recently, but I'm just hoping, and haven't heard anything negative. So I believe that he's still alive and he has a good core group of people that are there to follow up and to be there for him. So following up is really, really important.
I agree, Tammy. Establishing and increasing someone's support system is always so helpful. As well as encouraging people when you are doing that first step, the asking, encouraging people to reach out and get that preventative help. And I know so many people are afraid that by voicing these feelings that they may end up hospitalized. That's not always the case, and that one of the primary roles of the mobile response team, as well as 988, is to be able to help get that person past that point of crisis, perhaps be able to divert from admission via the Baker Act. In fact, our mobile response team here in Pasco County has a diversion rate up in the high 90%. I can't tell you, it varies from month to month, but anywhere, I think, from 96 to 98%. So the majority of the individuals that are contacting the mobile response team are actually getting past that point of crisis, having a few days for someone to follow back up with them, connect them to services, and help them get past that point.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the mobile response team?
Can I tell you, maybe that might even be a great episode for future as we can get the
I
mobile
think so
response team.
too.
Yeah, yeah. We actually have mobile response teams across the state, and I know that those have been increasing recently. Baycare is our provider. If I have a few minutes while you're talking, I will pull up the mobile response team number for you so we can say that out for everybody.
Yeah,
But basically they have a telephone number. I know that they go out to some calls. They talk with the individual and they're able to decide whether they're able to resolve that via telephone or maybe via a like telehealth type approach, or whether they need to be out in person. They help to talk that person, be there for them, and then connect them with follow-up services. And if in the event the person does need a hospitalization to keep them safe, that's the idea of a crisis stabilization unit, is to keep that person safe until that crisis passed and to have them connected with services, then they will ensure that happens. So let me see if I can pull up our mobile response team.
now
No,
that's separate. Okay, that's with Baycare, and then the sheriff's department has their mental health unit. Those two are separate, right?
correct. The sheriff's department has their BHIT, or Behavioral Health Intervention Team, and they work really closely with our providers. They also help to connect people with those resources in our community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's one of them, one of the sheriffs, Jesse. Speak with him every once in a while. I run into him at the Oasis coffee shop in some mornings, and so I get to learn a little bit more about that. So that, I mean, it's amazing how things have just changed in the last couple of years.
It really is. I'm sorry I don't have that mobile response team number handy for you.
That's okay.
Uh,
We'll get it later, and we can put it up in the comments when the show after the show, and so
that would be
we can
great.
get that information out there. We'll put it both on the foundation and the show Facebook page for you. So if you want, just afterwards, just email the information to me, and I'll get it out there for them.
That sounds great.
So those are the five steps for be the one to. So, and this campaign is actually sponsored by Suicide Prevention Lifeline, SAMHSA, and Vibrant. Vibrant is a healthcare. Let me see if I have this. I should have wrote it down better. Yeah, Vibrant Emotional Health. Here, all these organizations' sites are linked to the Be the One To website. If you go to that website, there's a lot of information. There's information that you can pull off there. You can do your own campaign. They even have it, I think, in their toolkit where you can build your own campaign around the core of what they have here with your own images and stuff and submit it to them. And you and if it say it's approved, I saw a couple on their website that was done by a couple other organizations, and then that's offered to anyone who wants to download it and use the campaign. Just when you do it, make sure that you hashtag be the one to and put the website on there. But we're going to be working towards that over the winter time when we're going to be going, taking a little break for the holidays and working on getting some sponsorships for the show. So if anybody out there wants to sponsor us, we would really appreciate it. You know, be part of what we're all doing. It is so important. Don't be afraid. You know, we've done this show, Karen, for December will be 3 years, 118 episodes with no sponsorship. And some of the comments have been, I think they're just afraid to be, they think it's just something too dark. That's the words that several people have used. It's too dark. Well, if we don't talk about it, it's not gonna, that's like our show says, hope in the light. You know, we've got to talk about it. We've got to be open. Otherwise, it is going to stay in the dark and it's going to be dark. And I know that with our episodes, I mean, from the very beginning, I'm sure that it probably wasn't a whole lot of fun to watch, but you were actually going through what I was going through for 3 years, and my growth and grief recovery, which is a continuation. I mean, I'm still not where I really want to be, but it's getting better, and we want to bring the information and the light so that, you know, our community can thrive. Um, and one thing I wish, Karen, I've noticed this, and I guess that's the way that most reporting goes, but when they report and it took me a while to catch on to this, when they report the suicide deaths or any uh, information gathered for, such a thing, they put the number per 100,000 population. Okay, so like Pasco County in 2020, I may be off by one number. They report 119 suicide deaths per 100,000. Well, when somebody just looks at that, to me, and I don't think I'm the only one, because that's the way I looked at it at first for a couple of years when I was first starting to do this, and really had to question myself because I knew that this number was wrong. We're getting close to 600,000 people in Pasco County. So that's 119 almost times 6. Right?
Yeah, right. Good point. Because that number, that can really throw you off if you just look at that 119 number.
Yeah. And it doesn't really, people don't really grasp how bad this situation is in our community. That's a lot of people. But
Yes, it
I
is.
think that when they report it the way that they reported, I really wish that they would report it, just throw the whole number out there, the whole population, because that little number, I mean, one suicide death is bad, but when you're only looking at 119, and then I just think people automatically think, especially if it's not, what they deal with every day, that, oh, it's only 119 for our county. Well, that's not the true number.
Good point. Good point. I did pull up the Pasco Mobile Crisis Response Team number, and I'll go ahead and
Okay.
say that. So it'll be on air, but we'll make sure any resources, Tammy, that you want, I'm happy to make sure that you have those after the show. But the telephone number is 727-372-4357.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll get that out there other ways so that it'll be easy, for people to find. That's great. Yeah, I'm excited that we can get so many people together. I'm hoping that we can get more people, that organizations that are coming to the SAFE meeting and the acute care meeting, that we can get them on here so we can, share their information and how we're all a part of this to make our community better.
I agree. I do want to talk a little bit about how suicide prevention in Florida is a statewide initiative.
Oh, that's right. You went to Tallahassee recently.
Yeah, I did. I had the opportunity to go the end of September to the quarterly suicide prevention coordinating council meeting. So there's also a suicide prevention interagency council, and that's made up of statewide agencies, and everyone has the same purpose in mind, which is suicide prevention. We actually have look at the official name of the report, we actually have a suicide prevention strategic plan, And I believe that was for 2020 to 2023. We're currently working on the new plan. That meeting at the Suicide Prevention Coordinating Council, the focus was to talk a little bit about the crisis care continuum in our state. And the crisis care continuum is made up of our 24/7 crisis call centers, which are our 988 providers, our mobile response teams, and our crisis stabilization programs. So it was a really beneficial meeting to really talk about and walk through. We did some case evaluations. They were fictional, but however, real life experiences of what it's like for someone to engage with the system and get the help that they need.
That's really awesome. Yeah, it's nice to see our, it's not just us with our feet on the ground, and the people within our whole state is really trying to, because really I think um, Tampa Bay is rates pretty high up there just within our state for suicide deaths, above the national average, and Florida is also above the national average. So getting, Tallahassee and these lawmakers and larger organizations involved in really making a plan, that's just going to help us, little guys with our feet on the ground in our community.
It was really refreshing to see that on a statewide level. It's one thing to hear it, it's another thing to actually be present for the meeting and see that representation around the table from Department of Veterans Affairs, from Department of Education, Department of Health, ACA, DCF, FAME, which is the Florida Association of Managing Entities, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I'm just naming a few, but just to see that partnership around the table, hear those updates, and see how everyone is coming together, working on a strategic plan to provide more resources, more training, and look at how we're intervening in this crisis continuum of care in our state.
Yeah, that's tremendous, tremendous. And one thing I forgot to tell you is that with um, some of these trainings that are going on, I did sign up for the suicide grief support group training in December. So hopefully, somehow, the beginning, at least by springtime next year, that we will have at least one suicide specific support group in Pasco County. Um, don't know how that's going to all fall into play quite yet, but I'm excited to be able to go through the training in December. So I don't.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, Tammy, and excited to see that come to Pasco.
Yeah, it's really something that we need. I think they're going to. Well, you were on the call for Zero Suicide Pinellas, and they have NAMIs, but they're working on getting a second support group started down in Pinellas County that's suicide specific too. So that'll be good too. So, and then I'd look forward to going to the Zero Suicide meeting for Hillsborough when we have that next one. Yeah, the morning notification wasn't soon enough, or was too soon. But anyways, Karen, I want to thank you so much for being on our show, for everything that all you guys do and what you do to coordinate, these organizations for our meetings and for everything that so that we can all work together. And it's coming together so much better, the last couple of years, and I think that's just super awesome.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here with you today. And I just have to give a big thank you, because the work wouldn't happen in our community unless we didn't have this incredible system of providers to provide services. Just to name a few: Baycare Behavioral Health, North Tampa Behavioral Health. We have ACTS. We have Operation CAR, Windmoor, we have a lot of resources here in our community.
Yeah, that's awesome. Alrighty, I want you to stay on in the background, and I'll come back and see you afterwards, and I'll wrap up the show. Um, we always have. Don't forget our lifelines. 988. There's the other one. Uh, yeah, text Jason, first responders. Have these available. Don't you just never know when you need them. I always, when I go speak somewhere, have people take out their phones and put them in their phones. Even the 988 number, just have them available because you just never know when you're going to need them. So that's super important. And my I was going to do our cooking thing today, but I wanted Karen on a lot further, so I'll put that in the comments, and we'll add that later. I did a really cool barbecue Siamese pork this weekend. That was an old recipe of Bobby's, and on the barbecue, it was really pretty good. So, and don't forget our quote. This one kind of plays off the last one, and it's good for interpretation in a positive way. And it is even when. Even when something like this happens, we can go on, we can be strong, and we can help others. Um, it's so important. And as we always say at the end of the show, please remember there is always hope. Thank you for joining us.